Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. Breaking news, Manchester United have agreed a double deal for Mazraouri and Matthijs De Ligt, thought to be around £60 million, including add-ons for both of them. We'll get into the details, we'll get into the fees, what exactly has happened here. But Manchester United look to have signed, according to David Ornstein, which means, let's be honest, Jay, it's essentially done. It is fact. Manchester United have agreed a deal, a double deal, for Matthijs De Ligt and Mazraouri. You've got the full details there. You've got exactly what's been said. Let's just start with that, and then we'll talk about our opinions on this and what exactly has gone on here. But this is big, Jay. This is huge.
Yeah, man. I didn't see this double deal coming before the Community Shield kicked off, to be honest with you. I thought me and you went for something sweet. We were talking about United needs to up our game a little bit in this transfer window, and then 10 minutes later we've signed two players. Well, almost signed two players. We'll get into it. David Ornstein tweeted 24 minutes ago, exclusive. Man United agreed deal with Bayern Munich for Matthijs De Ligt, €45 million plus $5 million, 5 plus 1 year deal pending medical. And then in the same tweet, United €15 million plus $5 million for Mazraouri, bid accepted. Rest on Wan-Bissaka. West Ham agree £15 million fee. Medical slated, £15 million fee, I hasten to add. Yeah. Medical slated Sunday, Monday, finalising exit. On the sort of the link to the Athletic, obviously Ornstein writes to the Athletic, where there's a little bit more detail there. So he says here in the Athletic, United have reached an agreement with Bayern Munich to sign De Ligt. The centre-back will move to Old Trafford in a deal worth €45 million plus $5 million add-ons. Subject to undergoing a medical, De Ligt is to join United on a 5-year contract with a year option. And then he just goes on to sort of say what this adds to the squad. Then he says Bayern have separately agreed a proposal of €15 million plus $5 million in bonuses for fullback Mazraouri. And then, of course, we're waiting for that to sort of be confirmed in terms of that to be a done deal. He says a proposed transfer, which is contingent on Wan-Bissaka leaving the Premier League club. West Ham have agreed a £15 million fee with United for Wan-Bissaka, while talks over the length of the deal are ongoing. The move is also still subject to Wan-Bissaka finalising his Manchester United termination. Now, just on the Wan-Bissaka front, because this was a story doing the rounds in this morning, there was a lot of sort of tweets and comments about it. And Ben Jacobs tweeted about an hour ago, Wan-Bissaka has verbally agreed to join West Ham. Club-to-club talks progressive positively. Wan-Bissaka exit will allow Mazraouri to join United. This was an hour ago. So it seems as though that is moving forward. It seems as though Mazraouri and De Ligt are heading to Manchester United. It feels like these are the kind of deals, and this is the kind of movement that happens when you've got people in charge who can make deals happen, i.e., a director of football and a sporting director and the likes of Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth who know what they're doing, especially when it comes to dealing with, getting players out the doors to other Premier League clubs and then getting other players in as well. It's been a very sort of, as far as we can tell, quick and smooth operation here in terms of getting a player out and getting someone in and making it all sort of make sense financially. Yeah, everyone's been panicking the last week or so, and I know things have slowed down and we've talked about things slowing down a little bit, but I do think that you look at what we're doing and you look at, let's first of all talk about the fee here before we even talk about the players. £38 million is the starting amount for De Ligt. Yeah. Which is for a starting centre-back who's played at Bayern Munich, he's played at Juventus, he's won leagues everywhere he's been, he's 24 years old. £38 million is exceptional. Yeah, it's very good. He's 24. He's not young. He's not old at all, sorry. He's not inexperienced. I think that's a fantastic number for him. I know he's obviously maybe not quite been the player that people thought he would, but he's still started a lot of games for Bayern Munich. He's still starting pretty much every week he's fit. And the same can be said for Juventus as well. He's a very, very good player, and for under £40 million is absolutely unbelievable. You mentioned before about Wan-Bissaka's deal to West Ham for being £15 million. The deal for Mazraouri is €15 million. So already we're getting him for cheaper than we're selling Wan-Bissaka for. Basically, the initial fee plus the add-ons is just slightly north of what we're going to get for Wan-Bissaka. So you can consider that to be a straight swap, essentially. Yeah. Those two, you've got Wan-Bissaka out and you've brought in Mazraouri. There are concerns about Mazraouri's injury record. I'll give you that, and that's something that, one way or another, hopefully we can remedy. But I do think in terms of swapping a player that
Wan-Bissaka has got 1 year left on his deal. Doesn't seem to be the sort of player that Ten Hag fancies. I know obviously you disagree with that. Not that he fancies him, but that he should fancy him. But let's just look at what is happening. Wan-Bissaka isn't favoured by the manager. We want a player who's more sort of adept going forward and in build-up phases. Mazraoui certainly is that.
Yeah.
And we are getting him for essentially a swap with Wan-Bissaka. Financially, that is exceptional to me. I also think, like I said, the De Ligt one is a fantastic player who you could easily have him here for 10 years. If he becomes the player that he seems like he could be, you know, we're talking about, he's not a young, he is young. 10 years' time, he'll be coming to the end of his career. If we have him for 5, 6, 7 years, he's been a success. Like, to me, this is a brilliant signing. And the fact that we've got them both all in, so this is with the add-ons that we like to sort of include, even though that will mean they've been top successors. With the add-ons, both of these players are 60 million quid. That's brilliant.
No, the De Ligt one in particular. And listen, first of all, I am gutted Aaron Wan-Bissaka's leaving. I love Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and we'll always have the FA Cup final, Aaron. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we'll always have the Carabao as well. We'll always have Wembley. Yeah, so I wish him well at West Ham, and when he comes back to Old Trafford, he'll definitely get a good reception from me. But yeah, look, the De Ligt one in particular is very exciting because I talk a lot on this channel about ceilings, a player's ceiling. De Ligt's ceiling is right up the very top. Yeah. It really is. This is a guy that if you keep him fit and if he plays as well as he can play, you've got a right player there. Even I know that, and I know nothing. So yeah, very excited. And Mazraoui, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's about very a lot. I get it. Listen, the manager and the coaching staff and the people above the manager coaching staff have to be better than I am when it comes to footballing decisions, because I'm an emotional Manchester United fan who has not got over that FA Cup final and probably never will. Yeah. If I had my way, we were building statues of Sophie and Amrabat. So, you know.
You did actually petition for that.
I did, and I had one signature. Yeah. And that wasn't even mine. No.
You signed it wrongly. You signed it in the wrong place. You just wrote Amrabat in crayon.
Amrabat. So I get it, like, you know, you need to be sort of looking at a player that the manager wants and fits into his philosophy. So I understand it, even though I'm a bit gutted. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see De Ligt. It's good that we've got these deals done before the Premier League season starts, or it looks like we're about to get them done, I should say, before the Premier League starts. That's a big bonus. And we can talk about it. I'm going to get into the comments as well. But the next phase for me is this midfielder. Yeah. You know, we need to get a midfielder, which we'll get into in a minute. Martin P has been a member of the academy for 32 months, says, this is great. Just need a Ugarte now, and I would then be happy. I agree. A midfielder, if Ugarte comes in, Manuel Ugarte, who we have been linked with, that would be great news. And let's not forget as well, me and you were talking about an hour ago, and it felt like the De Ligt and Mazraoui deals have gone a bit cold. Yeah. And it feels like Ugarte, but you never know. Something like might be brewing there, so let's not dismiss it. I named this podcast later. He's been a member of the academy for 7 months. Such a boost for morale ahead of the game today. GGMU, UTFP. Mateus Anderson, who's been a member of the academy for 44 months, says, a bit sad seeing Aaron Wan-Bissaka leave. Yeah. Great news, though. Now let's focus on that midfield. Yeah, love that. And just a couple of other comments say, JB says, Jay would love Aaron Wan-Bissaka, wouldn't he? Well, I do. And Jack Martin says Aaron Wan-Bissaka is Jay's love child. Those rumours are unsubstantiated.
I think they're not. I think they're fully substantiated.
Richard Duff says Ugarte and Burge. So he wants Manuel Ugarte and Sander Burge. Charles Rapando says Ineos cooking. Are we allowed to get giddy and carried away with these deals? Or do we have to be a bit more level-headed?
You can do what you want. Okay. And I think I'm going to get a little bit giddy. Do you know why, Jay? Go on. Because Ineos have come into a very, very difficult situation, and you can be as good as you want at negotiating. You can have as many people negotiating as many deals as you want, selling this guy, selling that guy, bringing this guy in. But what you can't do single-handedly, and I mean that as an organisation single-handedly, is undo a sort of a cumulative decade of bad contracts and transfers. Yeah. It's gone on longer than that, really, when you look at some of the people we've brought in. Like you said, you always mentioned, was it Michael Owen, Obertan, and who else did we buy that summer after Ronaldo left?
With Valencia.
Valencia. But they weren't on mega money. You look at some of the transfers over the last decade, we always talk about them. Alexis Sanchez, Di Maria, some of the contracts we gave out to the likes of David De Gea as off the back of that Sanchez deal. Harry Maguire, potentially, obviously overpaid for him. Anthony, another one. You can't overcome all of these things in one window. You just can't. It's impossible. Ineos could never go, right, that's Man United sorted in 6 weeks. It doesn't happen. But what you can do is set the precedent going forward. And that includes walking away from deals when they're not going to work out and getting good fees for people now. And I don't know, we obviously don't know what the wages are yet. I can assume, and I can tell you actually for a fact, that De Ligt will not be on 350 grand a week.
No.
He's not going to be one of the big boys at Manchester United. It might be 200, it might be a little bit north of 200. He's an established centre-back in his mid-20s, and they'll probably want him around that kind of fee. But it's not going to be the way we did with Jadon Sancho, where you bring him in and he's one of the top earners at the club. The way you bring Casemiro and he's on 350 grand a week, whatever it is. It's going to be a fraction of that. Mazraoui, I would have thought, would be a tiny fraction of 350 grand a week. These are the things that Ineos can do, and doing multiple deals at once, which is something that seemed impossible up until now for some reason. Getting fees for players, I know it's not a load of money for Wan-Bissaka, but 15 million quid, which is close to 20 million euros, is a decent fee for a guy who's got 1 year left on his deal, who clearly isn't fancied by the manager. And I just think that everything hasn't been perfect this window, and it'd be nice if these two deals got done 2 weeks ago, but you can't make West Ham bid 20 million quid. They're not going to hypnotise them with a little necklace on a string and make people do what they want. They're still humans chatting to humans here.
Yeah.
And I think these three deals that we're seeing, Wan-Bissaka out, Mazraoui and De Ligt in, are sensible fees and have been done maybe slightly later than we would have wanted, but still 2 or 3 weeks earlier than we would have had if this was, under the previous regime. I'm very, very excited by these. And I think, like I said, 38 million quid for De Ligt. That's an unbelievable fee. People pay 40, 50 million quid for backups, let alone, one of the most sort of well-known, high-quality centre-backs in Europe.
I think Ineos have done well. I think it's been deals that are doable, but they've done them.
Yeah.
Like, Xerxes a doable deal, but they did it. Lenny Yoro, even, once you convinced him to come United, the money we paid is a doable deal. It's not like we got him for nothing.
No.
Paid quite a chunk of change for a 18-year-old, but we got it done. And it's the same with these two. Mazraoui and De Ligt, good deals, but doable. And they've done it. And getting 15 million quid for a player of the calibre of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I know he's only got a year left on his deal, that's a decent deal. But they've done it. Yeah. And that's the problem with Manchester United far too often. We haven't done the decent deals. We haven't got things done that we should have got done. We've overpaid massively for players. We've left it late. We've messed about, and then we've given players away for nothing.
I mean, the perfect example of that for me is Jesse Lingard. He went to West Ham, had one of the best loan spells I've ever seen.
Yeah, in Premier League, genuinely, one of the best loan spells in Premier League history. That's not sound like hyperbole, but it's true. Between Christmas and the end of the season, something ridiculous. I think it was more than that, but around that.
Fantastic numbers.
Yeah, 15, 16 goal involvements in 20 games, whatever.
He comes back to Man United. He's not been a first choice player for a couple of years at this point. And instead of getting the 10, 15, 20 million quid we could have got from him at that point, we went, I'm not sure, we might need him. We'll keep him. He barely played again for United and left on a free 12 months later. Or 2 years later, whatever ended up being.
It's a shame for him and his career as well.
Exactly, it's a shame for him, it's a shame for Man United, and it's a waste of money and there was talent.
That brinkmanship with Newcastle where it was like they wanted him and it was like, well, you can have him if we get a bonus if you stay up. And Newcastle were like, well, we're not doing that. We'll give you some money for him, but we're not going to pay extra if we stay up. And they were like, well, you're not having him then. And you've got a disillusioned player who didn't get a big move. He's not happy. The club didn't get anything for him. He didn't do anything, like you said. He didn't do anything in the time he was staying. And by the time he does leave, he makes a bad decision, ends up at Forest, wastes a year of his career. Now is he still in South Korea? Yeah. It's a shame. I like Jesse Lingard, and I think his career sort of became what might have been rather than what it was.
But like you said, that deal to West Ham or the deal to Newcastle, whatever, was an easy, doable deal.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it.
Dan Ashworth would have got that done, wouldn't he?
Of course.
You know he would have. He would have.
It doesn't have to be Dan Ashworth.
Yeah.
Probably 19 of the other 20 CEO sporting directors in the Premier League would have got that deal done.
And staggered it in a way that benefited everyone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's how we'll do this up front, and if this happens, you can have a bit of that. Not the stupidness we went through with Newcastle, where it was last minute and it was like, well, give us that and extra, and they were like, no. But yeah, it would have been, it should have been done. That's a good example. And it's not just that. For me, one of the most ridiculous scenarios in the history of association football has been us with Paul Pogba. What we did with Paul Pogba is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, we had him, and we let him go for now to Juve, and then we paid 89 million quid to get him back off Juve, and then we let him go for now back to them. That's mental.
It is mad.
That is utterly bonkers.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind they had the best out of him. Like they won a load of titles and got to Champions League finals with him. We didn't. And it's just like, it just that sums up Manchester United under the Glazers without Alex Ferguson sort of weathering the storm. I'm going to get in some more comments and I'll come back to you.
Just before we do that, hit the like button. If you're watching this and we've got less than 1,000 likes, then it's your time to hit the like button. United are signing De Ligt and Mazraoui. Hit the like button. Thank you very much.
Thomas Toke Engine says De Ligt is so young. He brings so much experience that half of this squad wish they had. He just needs to not get injured. Ineos getting it done. Seamus Nolan, who's been a member of the first team for 8 months, says De Ligt is a great player to get and young. Also, he's a much needed, I like this, good point this, leader into the team. He has got that leadership quality. I
like him and Martinez next to each other. That feels like a good partnership.
Do you have any concerns about pace or height or anything?
No.
Do you think they
I think De Ligt's 6'2", I think.
Was he 6'2"?
He's
Sorry,
not massive.
he's taller than I thought, so I didn't realise he was that tall.
Pace potentially at times, because neither of them are rapid, but I think...
I'm not saying there is, I'm just curious.
You look at City's...
Usually have a really quick one, don't you?
Yeah.
But it was like... Varane was quite quick, wasn't he? Or is quite quick, and it kind of worked with him and Martinez. I know we didn't see a lot of it last season in particular, but listen, I'm not personally massively concerned. I think they're both quality, they both read the game very well, and they're both, if it's them two playing alongside each other, or if it's Lenny Yoro when he's fit coming back in, and I don't see Martinez getting dropped, to be honest with you, if it's Lenny Yoro or De Ligt alongside Martinez, or maybe we have a scenario where Eric Ten Hag fancies having 3 at the back or 5 at the back or whatever, trying to mix it up against certain teams. We'll have to wait and see, but it's good we've got options. Matthias Anderson, who's been a member of the academy for I don't know if I've read this, I don't think I have, I think this is new, 44 months. So it's a bit sad seeing Aaron Wan-Bissaka leave. Great news though. Now let's focus on that midfield. Marcus says,
I think you did read that, but that's all right.
Sorry, well you get it because it's being sad about Wan-Bissaka, you get to read it out twice. Get it read out twice. Marcus says, is the deal done? I don't think it's done. The closest you can have to a deal being done is David Ornstein saying that it's what's happening is happening. So I'm going to read it again because we've had a lot of people join since you opened the live. After this, by the way, we're going to go straight to the watch along. So don't go anywhere. This link that you're on will throw you to the watch along, I believe. We'll so there's quite a lot of people watching, so we're going to be here for the community shield or the charity shield.
We'll talk more about this as well. Of course,
we'll get into that.
Stay where you are.
So if for anyone who's sort of waiting to see what's happening with the watch along, stick around. So Ornstein tweeted, "Man United agreed deal exclusive." He says, "I mean, fuck he's had more exclusive than anyone, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? United agreed deal with Bayern Munich for De Ligt, €45 million plus 5 million, 5 plus 1 year pending medical. He also in the same tweet says, Nusa Mazraoui, bid accepted, rests on Wan-Bissaka, West Ham agree, £50 million fee, medical slated, Sunday, Monday, finalising exit. So it looks like that's the sort of the triple whammy there. Wan-Bissaka to West Ham, Mazraoui and De Ligt into Manchester United. Good because it's before the Premier League season starts. It's a deal that kind of makes sense in terms of the numbers. I don't think there's any ridiculous numbers or disappointing numbers in any of those deals. I think 15 million for a player who's out of contract in 8 months, whatever it is fair. Especially when push comes to shove. If everyone's fit, Wan-Bissaka probably doesn't start for Man United, even though I love him. He doesn't. Also, in terms of what we're getting in De Ligt for €45 million. That's not too far from what Bayern Munich were holding out for, and it's not too far off what initially Manchester United were offering. So I think that's a good common ground, especially with the add-ons, because then if he earns those add-ons, he's done the things you want him to do. So you're happy. And also, €15 million plus 5 million for Mazraoui. I mean, Jesus, you don't get out for that nowadays. Do you know what I mean? That's as long as he does a half-decent job, it looks like a bit of a bargain. And like you said earlier, Joe, this is a player that obviously Eric Ten Hag thinks fits into his system, his style of playing, more so than Aaron Wan-Bissaka does.
Absolutely.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and if he'd have been my choice, I'd have kept him, but he's very much that player who is a defensive-minded fullback, not really the sort of modernish fullback who, he's almost like a wing back or a winger nowadays, isn't he? But Aaron Wan-Bissaka was very good for doing a certain type of job. He did it superbly, by the way, which is why I love him. But this feels like a bit more of a player that sort of suits what Eric Ten Hag is trying to do.
And you can switch him in and out with Dalot a little bit more.
Yeah, Dalot, because Dalot, he's kicked on under Eric Ten Hag, Diogo Dalot, and he used to be a bit of a question mark around him, and I don't think there is at all now. No. I think Diogo Dalot has probably been one of our best players over the last 12 months. So well done to him, well done to Eric Ten Hag, and well done to Manchester United. There's loads of people in the chat and the comments. I'm going to get into some more before we throw over to the watch along. Sorry, United top 5 has to happen, says Achieve Greatness. There's a good question for you. Is the team news out, by the way?
Should be.
Right. So, should we throw...
read that last super chat there, and then we'll go over to the watch
I think
along.
it's one I've already read, isn't it? Sorry. Thomas the Talk Engine says, do you think they only signed De Ligt as Euro is injured? Also, how good was Aaron Wan-Bissaka's tackle on Zaha? That was phenomenal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was great. We're going to throw to the watch along. We're going to continue this conversation for the Community Shield watch along. We're also going to go into the team news for that game, build up to the game, get more reaction from you guys. So stick around. We're going to... this link that you're on, this feed, will take you to the watch along, and we'll chat about Manchester United ahead of the Manchester game, the game against Manchester City, and we'll also discuss this double deal, as you can see there, that has been agreed with Matthijs De Ligt and Noussair Mazraoui coming to Manchester United. It looks like Aaron Wan-Bissaka is heading the other way, so stick around.
Right, we'll see you in just a couple of minutes. We'll see you in a bit.